Hello, and welcome to the 6th Ghost Flight tour of the Smith Opera House in Geneva, New York. Since you can't come to the Smith right now for our history tours, we'll bring the history to you. I'm Chris Woodworth, and I'll be your tour guide. So without further ado, here's Episode 6, Fighting Words. A love triangle, a bank robbery, a long-lost relative thought to be dead revealed under a brilliant disguise, and a climax that was a real knockout. In March 1895, in the first season of the Smith Opera House, world heavyweight champion James J. Corbett appeared on stage in Gentleman Jack. This melodrama was based loosely on Corbett's own biography. His nickname was Gentleman Jim, and, of course, the play featured onstage boxing as his hero character delivered blows to the dastardly villain. A few days later, the Geneva Advertiser noted that Corbett's movements were quick as a cat's and that the play is not deep, but it is pleasing. While the turnout at the Opera House was less than what was expected, Corbett's after-performance appearance at the Alhambra, a new restaurant, brought packed crowds spilling out onto the street. The Alhambra was one of many business enterprises begun by Geneva's most renowned boxing promoter, Dan Deegan. In February 1905, Deegan worked with the local Eagles Club to organize a vaudeville and athletic fundraiser at the Opera House to add to the coffers of their Sick and Benefit Fund. According to the Buffalo Inquirer, a number of well-known Buffalo, New York, and Canadian athletes had been engaged, and tickets were readily sold at from $1 in the gallery to $2 in the boxes, which would have been the equivalent of roughly $28 and $56 today. No punches were actually thrown inside the Smith, however, as the committee was informed that the chief of police would not allow any boxing on the program, as it was against the law. The Democrat and Chronicle reported that the police chief was also joined by the local sheriff in this ban. The Eagles rearranged their program, adding additional vaudeville performances. The boxing went on, however, at a stag entertainment at the Eagles Hall after the performances at the Smith. Close to 1,000 people witnessed a fast, 6-round exhibition of boxing, in which the gloves weighed 8 ounces and there was no ring or canvas on the floor, but the boys nevertheless put up an excellent contest. The next mention of boxing and the Smith appears to be in August 1919. By now, Dan Deegan had created an organization known as the Geneva Amusement Club Incorporated. On August 13, 1919, the organization produced 6 snappy bouts in front of a capacity crowd, including many women. Deegan produced an array of sporting events over the years in Geneva, but boxing seems to have been his forte. The Geneva Historical Society has written a great deal about Dan Deegan's pursuit of boxing, in spite of bans outlawing it in New York State. As the Historical Society and the Democrat and Chronicle note, Deegan appears to have taken a break from promoting boxing, but returned boxing to the Smith in 1927. Dan Deegan is back in the game, hailed the DNC. By 1929, the torch appears to have been passed to another local promoter, Lefty Louie, who produced Friday night fights in the Opera House. These boxing matches would have been among some of the final performances in the Smith before it was closed for massive renovations following its purchase by Shine Enterprises. Not all the names associated with boxing at the Smith were big names. In fact, 2 little names, or more specifically, 2 little people, laced up their gloves in 1897. The Russo Midgets were a touring vaudeville duo, originally from Germany. Dwarfism ran in their family, and the brothers had other siblings that were little people as well. Beginning in 1892, they toured throughout the US and Europe. According to a January 1898 article in the Pittsburgh Press, among their celebrity boxing trainers was none other than James J. Corbett, Gentleman Jim himself. The brothers would eventually create a reenactment of the famous fight between Corbett and Ruby Robert Fitzsimmons, which led to Corbett's loss of his heavyweight title. Their January 1897 boxing match at the Smith, however, predated this legendary fight, which took place on St. Patrick's Day 2 months later. The Russos' theatrical bout at the Smith was part of a larger variety performance that included comedians, musical performers, and dancers. The Russo brothers offered exhibitions of both weightlifting and boxing. In the lead-up to their appearance, the local papers shared the brothers' heights, noting that Franz was 21 inches tall, while his brother Karl was 29 inches tall. The Geneva Daily Times also noted, "The Russos are remarkably handsome little fellows, blonde with well-cut features, and are perfect in all their proportions." The Geneva Advertiser boasted, "They are real Lilliputians, athletes and midget comedians whose versatility and intelligence will compare favorably with any artist in the profession." The paper proclaimed that since they are especially attractive to ladies and children, that the Opera House arranged for a special extra matinee performance to draw in that demographic. And how did Geneva respond to the Russo brothers' performance? We may never know, as the Geneva Gazette on January 8, 1897 wrote, "It is unnecessary to say anything further in detail concerning the midgets." For more information on the history of the Smith Opera House, please visit our history blog, which can be found on our website, thesmith.org. You can also learn how to become a member of the Smith and how to make a donation. We'll see you next time for another ghost-like glimpse of the history of the Smith.